What's up YouTube, and welcome to my pickups video for the month of August 2021. Did a little bit of travel just this past weekend, and that was really the extent of my game hunting for the month, so all these pickups are very stilted toward the end of the month, as I took a road trip to Columbus, Ohio to see a concert this last weekend. That is a pretty far drive for me in the Missouri area to make it out that way, so I got to hit a lot of game stores on the way. Even broke up my trip and stayed in Indiana on the way back just so I didn't have to do the whole drive. So that enabled me to do quite a bit of game hunting. One thing that I really noticed a lot of springing up, at least in that part of the country, is a lot of flea market game stores. Game stores, I put in quotations, because they're more of a permanent installation than what I typically associated with flea market game buying 20 years ago. So I guess it's maybe a way to avoid paying rent and have like a storefront inside of a flea market, but the prices and inventory quality definitely goes up with the change that you see there. So a couple things I got are from situations like that, but I also hit quite a few game stores along the way also. So let's go ahead and get started. We're going to go ahead and take a look at Sony systems first, as I kind of tend to do. I did pick up a couple PS1 games. I've kind of slowed down on my PS1 collecting in the last few months just because I pretty much have what I want, with a couple exceptions. But I did get this game that I'm not expecting much out of. This is Forsaken. This is a, I guess, first-person shooter type game, be the best way to explain it, or maybe just a first-person action game. And really, the reason I wanted this game is I have the very strange PS1 360 Sphere controller that I bought a couple years ago, and it says on the packaging that it is optimized to use with this game. It's basically the one game that has some additional features that I guess make that controller worthwhile. So since I just got it this weekend, I haven't had a chance to pop it in. I'm not expecting much, and I don't expect much out of the Sphere controller, but if you've never seen it before, it's a very odd controller that has like an actual globe on the top corner of it that you can twist as an analog stick. So we'll see how it is, and maybe it will surprise me and make this game worthwhile. Last thing I want to say about this game is it was in exceptionally minty condition, and I wish it was a better title to get a game in this kind of condition. I didn't have to replace the jewel case or anything like that like I typically do with most of my PS1 games. Another PS1 game I got, and this is purely out of just curiosity, morbid curiosity. File this under games that would never get made in 2021 or greenlit. This is Hooters Roadtrip, and this was a budget title that came out late in the PS1 life that has little cutscenes with the Hooters girls added in to some very subpar racing action. So looking forward just to checking it out of curiosity, and just again a sign of bygone times that a game like this would even get made. So definitely one of the weirder titles in the PS1 library for sure. I did get one new release this month. This is one that came out, it was pre-ordered by Strictly Limited, felt like almost a year ago, and that is Darius Cosmic Revelation. I'm kind of sick of Strictly Limited just with their eternal delays. They're even worse than some of the other limited game companies out there. And so what I actually did with this one is I was anticipating it would get a US release under NN Games, who is their partner company. Typically those are released through Amazon, and then they have ESRB ratings on them. So it actually did. There is an ESRB rated version of this game you can pick up, but it is limited in that it only has the new game, Darius Burst EX+. You don't get the other benefit of this collection, which I guess I can show you the back because it kind of explains it better, is a remastered version of G Darius, which is a great F3 hardware Taito arcade game, and also came out on the PS1 as well as the PS2 compilation. So really enjoyed this, probably more so for the remastered version of that than the new game, which is really just another Darius Burst. It's the final revision of that game as well. But unfortunately, like I said, the US release did not have that. Since Strictly Limited had waited so long to ship this out, they had actually finally shipped their games, and I found somebody on eBay selling their sealed copy of this, and so ultimately they didn't get my money. I paid some guy on eBay for his sealed copy that he got through Strictly Limited. So nice to have this compilation. And then I guess the other weird thing is this still isn't even the complete version of this game, because I think the Switch version of this has the Game Boy Darius on it. For original black and white Game Boy, they included that on the pack. But for some reason, you don't get it in this one. So I don't understand all the inconsistencies of this, considering that it's all coming from essentially the same company, and a German-based company that's publishing all these games on behalf of Taito. So hopefully, they'll kind of get the ball rolling in the future with some of the US releases. But very happy I have this, just because I do like the G Darius HD, and I've been playing it quite a bit. And a lot of trophies available in that game, too. I just wanted to call that out, too, if you like collecting trophies. Next, we're going to talk about NES games, and actually just some Nintendo complete in box stuff that I picked up this month. So it was a nice month for that. definitely a big piece of the road trip was finding some of the stuff that I just am not seeing locally. The other thing I'm starting to do is, since game prices are just absolutely insane, is that I'm really trying to limit my buying to things that I really want in my collection versus some things that I'm just like, maybe I'll get that out of curiosity. So basically what it's doing is it's causing me to be more curated with the things that I'm picking up lately. The first one of these is Wrath of the Black Manta. This is not a good Taito game, and I rarely say that because I'm such a Taito fan. But this one was one of the rare ones that I didn't have the box for my US collection. So I am sort of going for the full Taito, completing the box set for the US NES, which is quite a challenge. But I am over the mountain, so to say, with some of the more difficult titles already. So this was one of the more common ones I still needed. A local Half Price Books actually got this in, and I think Tom actually tipped me off that it was in stock. So I headed up there that day and picked that up early in the month. This next one is another complete in box game that I got. Actually, it was just boxed, and I happened to buy the manual in my last pickups video, so now I can make it complete. Was a very curious title for the NES called Puss in Boots. Which was related to a Japanese anime character that they made an NES game out of. It even says on the back, like, this stars Pero, star of the Toei animation series, Puss in Boots. Not necessarily the greatest platformer, but I just like the style of this box especially, and Electro Brain really was a company that put out some really weird stuff. So really happy to get this complete in the box. I just think it's a cool looking box overall and neat to stand out on the shelf. So even like the little side art on it has some nice colors and things like that. But definitely a unique title that I stumbled on my trip, and I was like, I gotta get that. The next one is my big splurge of the month. This was a game that I've wanted to get complete in the box for a really long time and have pieced together a cart and manual, but just never had the box. I ended up rebuying it complete in the box over the weekend. This was one of those flea market type purchases I was talking about, and I was really shocked at the great condition this game is in, and that is Shadow of the Ninja for NES. This is one of the great Natsume designed games for the system. If you like Ninja Gaiden and other Ninja Gaiden action games, this game is a great fit that kind of goes along with that. But this game was in particularly nice shape. Like, I wasn't even demanding one in this quality of shape, and so when I saw this in the wild, basically I just had to buck up and pay the money and get it. It was coming home with me either way. But this is still in its original shrink wrap with the exception of the top that was carefully cut by the original owner. It's still got the H seam on the back, so, you know, like Wada points times 1,000, whatever. But really happy to get this complete in the box, and again, just now it's a standout copy, even compared to most of my other complete games and just the condition it's in. So really happy to get this. I do already have Scat complete, which is the other Natsume published game, but they did develop a few other games for the NES that other companies published, so I'm kind of thinking about going for the full set of those complete in the box as well. Again, it just gives me some of these little targets to shoot for and, you know, mix collecting fun, so maybe where I'm going next with some of my purchases in the future. But really happy to get this game complete in the box. Like I said, I've just never found this box in the wild ever, and even on eBay I've bid on it several times over the years and just never won one, so I'm very happy to get a A+ copy of that, in my opinion. The next game I'm going to show you is actually a couple complete-in-box Game Boy games that I also got on my trip to Ohio. These were unplanned purchases, but basically if I can find complete-in-the-box Game Boy stuff, original Game Boy stuff at a good price, it doesn't even really matter what title it is, I'll grab it, just because I think these are pretty collectible because there's not a whole lot of people that save the boxes. So the first one of these is nothing too crazy exciting. This is NFL Football by Konami. Very nice condition overall, and I just think the box art's kind of unique with all the league helmets that they had at the time versus, you know, just like a generic artwork that most of the football games had of the era. So at least they put a little energy into that, but not necessarily a rare title or anything like that. The next one is also not really up my alley, but this is WWF Warzone with Steve Austin on the cover. This was actually a very late black and white Game Boy game, and you know, just I think this came out in 1998. So again, one of the very last original Game Boy titles that was released. I'm sure this one actually sold pretty well, and it does support the Super Nintendo Game Boy adapter and all that kind of stuff. So, you know, overall this one was probably pretty popular, and it's not exceptionally rare, but again, just nice to have that. Both of those games I got very cheap, so it was worth picking up in, you know, in the heat of the moment. So that's actually all the games I got this month, with one exception I'm going to show you in a minute, but I did get some other gaming related stuff, so I'm going to show you that. I have also been chasing manuals to complete some of my other copies of games, and if you watched my last video, you saw that I got a nice boxed copy of Operation C for the original Game Boy. It didn't take me long, but I found a nice clean manual to go with that on eBay this month, and so ultimately that's now a complete copy. It didn't take me too much effort to finish off, so very happy to wrap that one up quickly and then move on to something else. I also got a manual for the original Turrican for Game Boy. Probably one of the more uncommon titles, not rare, but, you know, at least somewhat uncommon. And I do like the series, although this one's not really one of my favorites. And then I did get one NES manual I needed, which is Cyberball, an early Jaleco title that is one of those futuristic sports games that usually don't age all that well. I got a couple memory cards this month, so these are for PS1 and PS2. This one I found on my trip. I'm kind of collecting some of the PS1 memory card colors that are a little more unique. When I saw this one in the store really cheap, I had never seen this color in person, I don't think. This is the translucent orange memory card. And again, just I had to get it. It was a first-party memory card that, you know, in a color I'd never really seen before. I left the sticker on it so far. I'm not sure if I'm going to keep it on there or not, but the person that owned this actually had some pretty good saves on here, so I kind of want to, like, you know, troll through it and see what else is on here. But they were playing Final Fantasy VII, Castlevania Symphony of the Night, Parasite Eve, Final Fantasy Tactics, and Xenogears. So definitely somebody with good taste that bought the orange memory card in the first place, so I thought that was kind of funny. The other thing I got was in a PS2 game that I actually already traded off, but it was one of those deals where I bought the game, you know, with the case all sealed up, and I didn't even open it up. And when I did, I found a PS2 memory card inside of it. So I can't really ever have too many PS2 memory cards to be able to store some of my game saves. This one's not exactly a crazy interesting color or anything like that, but free memory card is free memory card, so I'll take it. I also went to a book sale locally a few weeks ago. If you guys have never checked those out, it's definitely worth looking up a calendar of those. They tend to have really big crowds that come to them. This one is exceptionally big because it was the first one since the pandemic. But I've really found some good games and just like game magazines and strategy guides and stuff like that at book sales, and they're dirt cheap. Like everything's like $1 or $2. So definitely recommend checking that out, maybe looking on Google and seeing if there's any in your area. What I found this year was a little different, though. I found some DVDs that I didn't know I needed. I don't really collect anime DVDs, but I had to get these. There were Legend of the Mystical Ninja with Goemon in them, DVD series. I had no idea this came out in the U.S. There were 4 of these, and I found 2 of them there. So this is Volume 1, Goemon the Good is what this one's titled. I did start watching this one. It's pretty cheesy. I was expecting it to be set in feudal Japan, as most of the Goemon games are. It's actually set in modern times, and like Goemon and his friends are all like fish out of waters that were transported to the modern dimensions. So you get to see them have adventures in modern Japan, which is a little bit weird because I don't really think there's any games that are based on that theme, but definitely interesting. The other one I got is Volume 4, so I got the first and the last volume, and this one is Love is a Powerful Weapon. This one's still sealed. I haven't made it through the other set, so if I do, I'll probably open this up, or I'll chase down Volume 2 and 3, so I can watch them in order before I wrap up the series. I don't think these have a Blu-ray release. If they did, I'm sure they could cram all 4 DVDs onto one, but, you know, it's just kind of interesting to see something gaming-related like this that you would think would stay in Japan that actually made it out over here, so... these are lighthearted, but, you know, to have a couple, like, teen elements to them that, you know, still would raise it above something you would see on children's TV. So I guess that's a little bit interesting in its nature. I did get one magazine for the collection, and you guys have probably already seen this if you watched my video on this magazine, but this is Game On USA issue 5 with the Mario 64 cover. This was the last one I needed to complete that set, and I made a video a few weeks ago on the full set, so if you haven't, please check that out. But very happy to complete the set of this magazine. I've got a few other magazine sets I'm currently chasing, and then one other one that is complete that I probably could do a video on too. So just kind of kicking it around to see what's going on with that. And then the very last thing, you might have also seen a video I made this month. It wasn't necessarily my most happy video that I've made, but I picked up an arcade board on eBay that unfortunately arrived very damaged in transit, especially due to the poor packing job. And it's very unfortunate because this is a game that I've really wanted in my collection. This is Surprise Attack by Konami, which was released in 1990. It's very much like a Shinobi or Rolling Thunder style action game, and I've played it before in arcades, and I really love this game. I just feel like it flies under the radar. But unfortunately, the seller was, you know, just very, very poor with the shipping, and also just very distrusting that I was trying to pull a fast one on him. So we ended up going back and forth. I know some of you asked for resolution on what happened with all that. Thanks for the cheerleading I got in the comments section. I kind of wanted to wait to see how it all played out before I gave an update. Ultimately, I did end up escalating the case to eBay because the seller was not complying with the return expectations that they are to provide. And eBay stepped in, they reviewed the case. A few days later, they refunded me all my money and told me to keep the board. So I'm sorry, dishonest seller, but, you know, I'm keeping it. And even though he's trying to message me now and say I still need to send it back, tough luck. You didn't follow through on your end of the deal. So unfortunate that it happened that way. It doesn't work, so I will need to find somebody to repair it. But, you know, maybe someday I can get that game up and running and have that great game in my collection. So that basically wraps up the pickups for the month. Thank you very much for watching. Please take a moment, like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you think, and I will talk to you soon. Have a great day or night, wherever you are.